I don't know if she'll even be able to take him if she's still on probation.
Your Honor, I think the main points of disagreement today are non-disclosure and the amount of child support ordered. And other than that, I believe we're mostly in agreement, but I would have to double check with parties through testimony. And what's the name and birth date of the child that you have with Mr. Rodriguez?
Christian Anthony Rodriguez. He was born 11/11/18.
And as far as visitation goes, are you and Mr. Rodriguez able to conduct visits so that he can visit with Christian?
Yes, I agree to the simple. He gets the 42 days. He gets spring break, and he gets a weekend out of the month. And I also said that I would help with travel fees on Christian's end.
Travel fees. So Mr. Rodriguez is not in the state, or you're not in our state?
He moved to Florida.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I thought he was still in Harris County. You know what I'm saying? I think, I know Houston's a little bit away, but usually doesn't require that much more travel expenses, but got it. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so you agree, I think what you're saying is that you're agreeing to a standard possession order where there'd be, basically one weekend each month that Mr. Rodriguez could come visit, and then those extended times in the summer.
Yes.
Okay. As far as decision making, do you feel like you can communicate with Mr. Rodriguez about Christian regarding dentist, medical appointments, school
Yes.
activities? Okay.
Yes.
Usually non-disclosure, what that does is it's asking the court to keep your address and phone number, email, and where you work out of the order because you feel like it's going to subject you to harassment, harm, abuse, or threats. So in this case, what are you worried that will happen if your address is included?
He has threatened to slap me and my partner if we say anything wrong, that he was going to show up to my partner's job. He's also had family violence against me right before we had split up. This isn't just me being petty or anything. He can have my phone number. He can have my email. He has my parents' address as anything that he needs to send anything. We just feel more comfortable if he does not have the physical address.
Okay, ma'am, I'm sorry to interrupt again, but I always do. Ma'am, you said there was some form of family violence. Was there actually ever any criminal charges charged and or any criminal convictions based on that act of family violence, ma'am?
No, sir. I never called the cops.
Okay, thank you. You may proceed, Ms. Hubbard.
Um,
And I'm sorry, ma'am, when did y'all split up? That might give us some reference also.
We split up, I would say at the end of April. No, it was in March. I moved back to Temple in March, the beginning of March.
Which year, ma'am? This year?
This year.
Okay, thank you. All right, you may proceed, Ms. Hubbard.
as far as insurance, how does Christian have medical insurance right now?
It's through his dad.
Okay, so you're okay with keeping it that way?
Yes.
Okay. For retroactive or back child support, you're entitled to support from the time that you both split up until now, with an allowance for any money that was sent to you directly. Are you requesting retroactive support today?
No, I am not.
Okay. Is there anything else that we haven't gone over that you'd like to tell a judge?
I've had to block him today for messaging me trying to change things, and I have multiple phone calls right now. It's right before, and this is another thing. Like I don't want any part of it. It's either about Christian or it's not.
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Did anyone speak to you about maybe both of you using the AppClose app that you might have heard Judge talk about?
I heard him talk about it, and I feel like that's the best way to go.
Oh yeah,
But we have not used it.
We're going there. Believe me, we are.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right. Okay, and the fact y'all both represent yourself, technically he could try to reach out if he wanted to, but if you both had lawyers, that would be from Solid non grata. So since you're both your own lawyers, again, I would say, yeah, that's not done. So anyway, I'll be back to you in a moment, ma'am, and I'll let the state call you as a witness now, Mr. Rodriguez. You may proceed, Ms. Hubbard.
Thank you. The state would like to call Mark Rodriguez. Sir, would you state your full name for the record?
Mark Anthony Rodriguez.
And sir, you're the father of Christian?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have any other children?
No, ma'am. I went on the way, but not born yet.
What's the possible, what's the date, I'm sorry, the projected date of birth, sir?
June.
We got a ways to go. Got it. Thank you.
And as far as making decisions on Christian's behalf, do you feel like you and mom can communicate regarding that?
No, ma'am. It's always just whatever she wants to do. I don't think we can communicate that she doesn't take my advice into account.
Right. How are you guys going to arrange for visitation in the summer, if that's the case?
Basically, whenever she lets me have him.
That's not the way it's going. Sorry, that's not the way it's going to happen, sir. Here's the deal. I'm sorry. I thought y'all were living in. I thought you were living in Texas. There
No,
is a package going forward. I think the child is way too young to travel by. Little boy, or little girl. I'm sorry.
Boy.
Little boy. Yeah, he's too young to travel by himself by air. So they'll have to be he will have to be escorted. There is a long distance package for escorting children and figuring out the airlines, all that kind of stuff, along with a standard visitation order. But the standard visitation order says you're going to get 42 days in the summer, and the extended package will set up how y'all are to make the arrangements to get the child to and from your residence to her residence and back and forth. All right. And that's all going to be in the court order. But I know y'all, again, since we didn't know you were out of state, sir, this hadn't had an opportunity to come up. But the court will be looking at setting that up. And the order for the exchanges are carved in stone. Those are the time frames that you have to do it. And both of you need to conform with the court order for the visitation package. Okay.
Yes, sir.
It's not when you say, it's not when she says, it's when the court order said. Thank you. You may proceed with question at this time, Ms. Hubbard. Thank you.
Thank you. As far as communications, you may have heard the judge talk about the program the court usually uses called
Yes.
AppClose. And so you'd be willing to communicate through that.
Yes. If we could have them scheduled on the court order for a certain amount of time, certain days, certain times, so that way I don't have any conflicts and she don't have any conflicts. And if possible, we can agree on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 to 7, something like that.
Here's the norm is, sir, I do order electronic visits now, and AppClose has that set up. And I usually make it Sundays and Wednesdays at 6 p.m. He's an older child, so he might hang around 30 minutes or so on a video chat. But you're going along in 30 minutes, you're going to have to dance, dress up like Darth Vader and whip out the white and have a lightsaber available, because you're not going to be able to keep his attention for an whole hour. Unless you get
I understand.
And he's too young for Xbox and PlayStation, so yeah, that's probably what you're looking at. So, but again, I usually do it on every Sunday and every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central Time, which will be 7 p.m. your time, sir. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Hubbard. You're back up. Sorry about that.
You're always helpful, Your Honor. I appreciate it. Where are you working right now, sir?
Right now I'm working for QPAC in Florida.
Okay. And we previously calculated child support based on your wages with one child in, no other children out, to be $1,544. Are you disagreeing with that number?
I'm not. I'm disagreeing because I won't be able to afford to get my son back and forth. If she said she's going to pay, I mean, if it'd be helpful if we could take that out of the child support and try to work it to where, because he's going to have to get plane tickets. I'm going to have to fly with him, or she's going to have to fly with him, or I'm gonna have to get round trip tickets. He's too small to travel by himself, at least for the next few years. So that's why I'm trying to get it to where I can afford to go and get my son, bring him back, have him for the 42 days and what have you, and just be able to spend time with him, because it's gonna be a little harder for me just to do that with paying that full amount and then getting plane tickets.
Okay, so
Okay, well, I'm sorry. You go ahead and proceed. I have some questions I'll ask the mom, and we'll try to figure this out. Okay, go ahead.
So you're specifically speaking about just in the summer, you're not going to come do visits any other times?
Well, I won't be able to travel as much and then if he goes to school, then that's going to be a little bit more. Then I have somewhere to stay in Houston, but for him to come over here, and it's just
okay.
It'd be hard to go every week, every month.
And in the real world, in most of these instances, the best of circumstances, and with parents who are a little bit more flush with cash than you are, they maybe do 3 times a year. One of the holidays, Thanksgiving or Christmas, and spring break, and then summers. But most usually only do 2 times a year. So obviously, the court can take that into consideration. And I'll we'll get some questions from Ms. Wilson and try to figure out an appropriate package to set that up and give proper credit and or order a certain. She says she's willing to set things up and to and I want to clarify with her that she's willing to pay some part of expenses. And if she's willing to do that, then I will look at how I want to handle it. Straight out child support or straight out credits or something. All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir. If we could, I'm sorry, if we could have that in the court order that if she
Oh
is
yeah,
gonna-
yeah, don't worry, sir. It will be one way or the other.
Sir, are you willing to continue insurance, medical and dental for Christian?
Yes, of course.
Now, as far as the non-disclosure of address is concerned, you are in opposition to that?
I am in opposition because everything she stated was partially true, but that wasn't the whole truth. You know, she's hit me for many amount of reasons in front of my son. I do, you know, worry about her mental state, even, you know, at times just her and my son around. She can't handle it mentally sometimes, and I worry, you know, that's not fair to say that I'm not, you know, able to have those addresses and locations of where my son is or anything like that, or who's watching him for that matter. And, you know, I've put forward everything to her with no issue.
And have you been messaging her during these proceedings?
I was trying to get her to agree so that we could make it quicker and like make it more tailored to us. But I mean, it wasn't working out that way.
Okay. So if you were to be, say, buying 2 plane tickets and she bought the other 2 for going there, going back, if we put those plane tickets at $400 each, that would be a child support reduction of about $133 each month. Is that what you're asking for?
Sir, here's the deal. Until I get some miles on this order, and I'll probably, by the time there's some miles on this order, I'll probably be retired. So it'll be the next judge's thing. But I usually only give enough credit for the purposes of offsetting travel expenses to cover maybe 2 trips a year. Because again, if you do 3 or 4,
Okay.
great. I'll consider
Okay.
that once I got proof you do 3 or
Okay.
4. But other than that, I won't go any higher than 2. And the state just did that with their calculations. So, all right.
Understood.
All right. And then of course, at the end, if you don't do any, then mom has the right to come back and ask me to take it to the full amount. So there we go. Anyway, I'll get back to her in just a moment, but let the state proceed. Thank you.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell the court today, sir?
Well, I don't know if she'll even be able to take him if she's still on probation, for like if she has to fly with him or back and forth, and if she has to able to leave the state or not. I don't know how that's going to work with that. So I'm gonna have to do all the flying. That's going to be.
Well, we'll ask mom whether or not she's under any type of legal restrictions of leaving Texas or the county or something like that when we call her back, sir. All right. All right.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Wilson, I don't want to get any details of what's going on in some of these areas, but first thing I will ask you, are you under any legal travel restrictions by any entity of from leaving the county or for leaving the state of Texas, ma'am?
I am on probation right now, but I am under no restrictions.
All right, thank you. All right, now the next question, ma'am. I know you still supplement the travel expenses. Now, here's the way we can do it. I could order as part of the travel expenses that you pay one way, pay one way once you get well, and he pays the other. But that's really not the best way to do it. The best way to do it is for y'all to work together and get tickets together. But bottom line is, the other way is that I will normally, again, look at giving him some financial credit, order him to do it, and then see over the next couple of years that if he follows through, and again, the state's looking at a reduction of about I can make it $150 or $133 a month. And that'll take you $150 a month, will take you down to something like $1,350 a month child support. And if he does what he says he's going to do, then that's great. If he doesn't, after a couple of years, you can come back in and say, hey, he's not visiting. His child support needs to go up to the full amount. And then we can take into consideration whether or not he has that second child or not. So again, ma'am, it's you know, the discounts always come with with a round trip ticket. So
yeah, I have no issues helping with the tickets for Christian. If we need to pay for the round trip, if we have to go to Florida, then we can pay for it all. If he has to come over here, then I would expect him to pay for it. We can do the credit. I don't have any issues with that.
Well, the easiest way for me to put it into a court order is just to go ahead and give him that $135, $150 credit and order him to make all the arrangements. And believe me, it's It's about the flight arrangement order is about 2 pages long. And and that way you don't have to worry about anything. He's got to set up everything. I'll just go ahead and give him that credit for that will cover 2 of the trips. You have a problem with that, ma'am?
Not at all.
Okay. Sorry, sir, so I'm looking at going ahead and instead of ordering child support at $1,500, taking that down by what was the amount? 133, Ms. Hubbard? Let's go ahead and
Yes, Your Honor.
let's go ahead and make it an even amount. Let's make it 150. And what would that make his current child support going forward if I was reduced it by $150 a month, Ms. Hubbard?
$1,394.
All right, so that's what I'm looking at ordering going forward, based on the fact that this is the only child at this time, and to give him $150 credit against that each month for him to cover travel expenses, to pick the child up for visitation in accordance. And I'm not sure, Ms. Hubbard, if you got a copy of that long range. The order is really extensive, folks. It says how soon dad has to give information as far as what the flight's looking like, how mom has to drop the child off at the airport. Dad has to make the flights at the closest airport that allows flights. Dad can't make if the child can fly out of Austin instead of Dallas, then the mom has to drop the child off in Austin, and dad has to pick the child up at the airport or pay for someone to fly with him, or dad has to come to Texas and pick the child up at mom's front door. So all that's included in that order based on the circumstances of the child. Well, sooner or later, the child's going to be old enough to travel with an escort by the airport, but until then, dad's going to be responsible for doing everything else as far as getting that set up. But again, it's all going to be in the order. So at this time, sir, I'm going to come back to you, setting this up, making you come to, obviously you'll have to either provide escort for the child on the airplane, or you have to be the escort, and you'll have to come to Texas to do it, and pick the child up and then return the child to mom. Is there a problem with that, sir?
So I just said I have to buy a round trip ticket for myself both ways.
Yes, sir. Or you got to drive to Texas, one of the two. You're the one that left, not her.
No, she left because she cheated on me, but it's like, I get. Is there a way for me to get like custodial parents? No,
sir. You can go ahead. I'm sorry, sir, but it's not going to happen.
No, he wants to sign his rights over. He's starting to sign his rights over.
Okay. Stop. Here's the other thing. You don't know how hard that is. The child gets a lawyer in a termination case. You have to convince the child's lawyer that the person that is supposed to be giving money to his client should no longer give his client money. What do you think the odds of that are going to be? 0. Lawyers get their clients money, they don't get them kicked off of money. So we're not going to do there's not going to be a legal termination unless there's an adoption someday going forward. And sir, you can ask me for custody, but judge has been doing this for 20 years as a judge and 40 years as a lawyer, and I'm not falling for that. Okay, that's not going to happen. It's obviously about the money. So
no, it's not.
I'm not going to do it. So that's that. So I'm sorry. The money is a factor, and I'm not going to change custody at this point. The child hasn't been living with you; it's been living with mom. It's not going to happen. So, what do you want, sir?
So the question is, am I going to travel back and forth? Correct.
All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm looking at making this a temporary order at the full child support amount. I'm going to give you the opportunity to talk to a lawyer. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We're really expensive. My son just got they just raised his rate at his firm, and he's a baby lawyer, and they pay him $350 an hour to be a lawyer. So, yes, sir. But if you want to if you want, I'll give you the opportunity to go out and seek legal advice on how you might want to handle this, sir. But everything we've done here, I've told you today is as far as long distance visitation, as far as transfers and plane trips and all that, it's what we do 99% of the time. Okay.
Yes, sir. I was just trying to understand how the travel would be me every time going round trip, or would it be sometimes her round trip, or just solely me? That's what my question is.
If she's giving up the money, then you're the one that have to do the travel.
Okay, so she's gonna pay for it. Is what I'm asking. Yes. Okay. Okay. So she's taking out the child support. That's what you're saying for the 2 trips. Okay. That'll work.
Okay. But again, that's why we went down from 1,500 down to 1,300, sir. Okay.
Okay.
All right. But okay, sir. So I'm asking you, do you want to do this as a temporary order, and you want to talk to a lawyer, or do you want to go ahead and go with that?
Yes, so if we can do this as a temporary order just to see how it works and
sir, is to give you the opportunity to seek legal counsel while we're waiting to have legal counsel come in, sir, I will be ordering temporary child support based on the full amount because we're not
Okay.
going to be doing any long distance traveling until we come back for a final hearing.
Oh,
So,
okay. Yes.
okay. All right, then. So here's the deal, folks. I'm going to go ahead and set this up as a temporary order. I want to name you both temporary joint management service, give mom right to side domicile. Since you don't want to live in Texas, sir, that right's unrestricted. I'm going to order temporary child support in the amount of $1,500. I will order the standard long distance possession and access, or as far as visitation is concerned. If you want to come down and pick the child up for the week of Christmas this year, when you're entitled to a week, sir, you'll be allowed to do so, but it'll be 100% at your expense because but if you don't, you don't. I'm going to go ahead and order that you get electronic visits with the child every Sunday and every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. your time, sir. I will go ahead and order that that's going to be through AppClose, AppClose. It's the joint parenting app, and it has a FaceTime function to it. And I'll order that y'all use that for all communications going forward. That way, in case I need to have appoint the child a lawyer and have the child's lawyer pull your AppClose information to verify something one way or the other, it can be done. So I always use AppClose for that. And for everything else, it's got a texting function. It's even got a paying function, but you're not going to use that. I'm going to go ahead and order temporary child support again at the original amount requested by the state, and that's going to start the first day of November. And I'm looking at coming back on one of the. I know we already got a lot of cases in December, but I'm going to go ahead and get this done by before the end of the year. So I'm looking at going ahead and resend this matter for one of the late December dates, Ms. Hubbard. I want to give Dad at least 45, 50 days to talk to a lawyer, a Texas lawyer, and see how he wants to try to handle this. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and set this up. Yeah, I want to set it up on the general docket and I'm looking at, let me bring up my general dockets again.
Your Honor, could I say one thing?
What question do you have? What do you want to say, sir?
No, sir, just to correct, you said it was my choice to move to Florida by myself, and it wasn't. She was supposed to come with me, but my family was.
I'm sorry,
I kind of killed myself. So I just wanted to clear that up.
You voluntarily left Texas, sir, is what I mean. I talk like a lawyer, and lay people sometimes don't get it. No one made you leave Texas, right? So what I mean, sir, you voluntarily moved.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Pete, hey, I've never been married, but I've gone through several split ups, folks, sir. I know how it works. Okay, so yeah. Anyway, I'm looking at Thursday, December the 14th general docket. Thank you.
Okay.